You're not procrastinating because you're not good at doing this or because there is something wrong with you. Procrastination is something deeper that is a reflection of an unseen, repressed part of ourself that is reflected in the conflict on doing something that we should do, with sometimes we don't have to do and we may have to do, or we should do it depending if we are forced to, if we work for someone. But let's take, for example, something that we have the free will to choose. Procrastination is not something bad, it's something that might help us to see within ourselves, if we sit with it right now when the procrastination rises, what thought came exactly at the same time. And if each time of this procrastination you can pause and see what thought is rising, maybe you can observe a repeating thought, a pattern in those thinking behaviors that just triggers this inability to move forward and do the things that you want to do. And sometimes it's really important to do it, and sometimes, yeah, we should do those things. But if we have resistance, it's also because, as within so without, we have a reflection of a resistance within ourselves, maybe to expand. So there is two explanations for me to procrastination. There is the first is a resistance within that holds us back to expansion, and then we need to look at what is holding us back and sitting deeply and feeling and identifying even each time that is coming, as I said, what is repeatedly coming up that is really probably for a long time ago, that it's just playing out in our life, probably subconsciously. But as soon as you are already maybe able to see this repetition, this pattern in your thinking when procrastination is coming, mentioning maybe that we consider in that example that this is something aligned with you, you're already following something that you know this is your path, and you have resistance to do something or to put yourself more visible. This is triggering some maybe inner fear or of rejection, or you might feel not accepted, but this is the root survival cause. But if you see that it plays out many times in your life on the similar situation, now at least you become more conscious of it. And as you become more conscious of it, you're able to then stop the repetition and give space to feel that. And from feeling that, then the space expands, the fear dissolve, and then you can come back to the action from a different perspective. Another aspect is not to come from a should place, but more for a flowy place. How is this moving me forward into the direction of my life? And how is this helping me to do something else? It can be also put it in the flow of other action that you don't have resistance to do, but you can find a link between those action and this specific action that you found resistance, where you procrastinate, to then link them and make a flow. And also maybe find a way to feel how this is already enough to observe this, and the best way to do this action would be to surrender to the best way of doing it, which is sometimes very different that from what our mind is capable of thinking. And this is nothing to do about your ability to do the action. This is even not logical, because it would make sense that by doing this, it will bring you forward. But maybe there is other ways that life can bring you, and maybe it's not the timing exactly for doing this. So there is a part of keeping our will to stay focused on a direction, but not exactly on one thing and on one date and on one specific things, and give more space to the universe to play out in our life, to play through us, to also see sometimes if this action is really needed, because sometimes a resistance when we are in the right path and we procrastinate something, it might mean that this action is actually not really needed. And instead of this action, it would be other way that we are not yet aware, because we haven't expanded yet at that level of awareness in our existence to see or perceive or feel a different way or going in that direction. If we talk, for example, about me being more visible, many people say that you need a website. But I also know many people that are very successful and even don't have a website. But it's different for everyone. So maybe this is not correct for you. And that's a reflection of simply an invitation to surrender to other possibilities. Because sometime, and then this is also another aspect of procrastination, this may bring more to very similar understanding of the previous one, that we need just to realign, that we just need to realign what we are doing to a different way. So this might be when we are going back and forth into something that is aligned to our path. But let's say that we are resisting to our path. We are pushing against a wall. And the wall is just the wall that says, basically, just change the direction. You're gonna hit yourself if you continue pushing toward the wall. So procrastination to do something, many times, not all the time, might be that this is something that you need to stop trying to do. Because as soon as your effort withdraw back from this trying to do these things, that's where we create more space awareness to allow something else to come. If now there is more space, there is also more space to see, more space to feel, or more space to let in new things that we were not aware before. So this is not always a bad thing. It's just maybe a resistance to our highest divine way of going toward that direction. And if we don't know yet this direction, which is an aligned path for ourselves, where everything flows because we are supposed to do this, we are in our Dharma, then this might be also a way to bring us back into the direction of our Dharma, of what we are supposed to do. And we have sometimes lesson to learn, and a procrastination to do something, or maybe in the way that we want to do it, just tells us that this is not fine, this is not aligned with us. So there is many practical tools that can help to just know what is more aligned with us. And one I really like, and I'm not going to expand here, but it's human design. Understanding your unique way of being, your unique way of living, your unique way of creating. Not to put too much at the mind level, but to understand the base. Sometimes it's freeing ourselves for pressuring to copy what we see that is working for other people. And it might be an example, and we might of course use this, and it might help us to go forward, but it might just be a first kick in, the first step to give the impulse. Like if you need to start and somehow you get a kick in your butt and it's putting you on the way, and then you need to figure out the next step and the next step and the next step, and just to find and feel more what it feels to be you, and in every moment, because you know only in the each and every moment in the present time what is right for you. I don't know what is right for me tomorrow, but I know what is right for me today, or even like right now. I don't know later. I know that after this video I will go eat a delicious juice, a smoothie that I prepared before, because now I start to feel that right now this is what I need. But I don't know later today what I want to eat, when I want to eat. This is a very basic example. But if I would procrastinate to go to eat, it's maybe because I don't need to eat right now. So maybe procrastination might just be reframed as adjustment into our best aligned frequency to what we can do to live our life the best way possible. Procrastination can lead off understanding of ourselves through relationship or business. Sometimes when we find alignment, we can catch ourselves doing things in one day that it took 3 weeks to figure out the best way to do it. But when we found it, when it came, when we allowed it, then everything flow, because then energy is aligned and this is the right timing, because we maybe had to deal with other things before, and because kind of there is a part of things are defined already and we pick different timelines and different way of doing things. We just catch ourselves jumping from one to another, and it depends which one we want to follow for what feels the best right now. There is no defined truth, it's just what we feel true for ourselves right now. What is truly aligned for ourselves right now to be. And yes, we need somehow in this physical existence a kind of a structure, or depend at which level we are in different stage of, for example, business. If we are alone, or if we have a team, or if we have a corporation, of course it's different. But at our level, where are we standing to find our best alignment and stop thinking or overthinking everything based off what is working outside, but more of what is universally available and connected and creating a match with you, and that you can align, that could reflect from inside into your business, from inside into your relationship. And sometimes the relationship reflect imbalance, or sometimes a clear balance, or a direction, or an opening for something that we could go more into. Depending if we have learned the lesson and if we are ready to learn them, or maybe to learn them faster with different tools. And to stop repeating that again, because now we understood it and we can move to the next timeline. Not repeating again this and maybe until our death, but jumping to the next without this repeating pattern. That allows us to realign to more matching frequency life. To surrender better to the higher consciousness, to our higher self, making space to our higher self to guide us, instead of trying to guide ourselves by ourselves with our very small, limited human mind, where we can have access to a bigger mind. So use procrastination as a sign when you are maybe misaligning with your higher self. Where maybe you need to go within and check actually if this is something that you really want and need, or if you're trying to push yourself in something you heard that you may have thought good for you. Sometimes it's also good to take time before, so to sleep before to implement something new, or to give an answer to someone. Or maybe it's just showing a need of more inner peace and harmony and centeredness. And releasing from our mind that if you're not doing these things right now, you can ask it, what is the worst thing that may happen if I'm not doing it right now? Or if I'm not replying right now? So yes, sometimes there is obligation that we really need to do. And sometimes it's about environment. So you might shift your environment. Let's say you have legal stuff to do. You need to sign a lawyer paper, or to go to the notary, or because you just bought a property, or you have an important contract to sign with a new client. Obviously you need If it's like on the continuation of your alignment, then you might just take yourself out somewhere and count from 5 to 1, and before 1 you just get up, you take your stuff and you just go in the cafe, or you just go in another environment. Sometimes it's not even about anything I said, it's just about environment. Is your environment supporting what you're trying to do? Because let's say if you have a very non-supportive environment with unconscious people around, or even abusive people around, and you haven't set strong boundaries, and you haven't withdrawn to yourself, or if you could just not be into that environment, and you try to align yourself to your divine purpose and will and destiny somehow, whatever you might try to do in that environment might fail, because this environment does not reflect the inner state you try to express without, and the environment is always stronger than who we are. So that's why usually the best way is not to fight our environment, even if sometimes there is close people we love. Doesn't mean withdrawing from them is not loving them, it's respecting ourselves. If they are not aligned and they can't change themselves, we can't change them anyway. This is their path, and they probably need to learn things, and they are there, and sometimes our light disturb them, and they might get mad or angry at us. This may happen, especially when we expand and awaken. So at the end, there is also this question: am I in the right environment for doing this action that I feel is right, that I should do, or that I'm inspired to do? Because you might also have full alignment in what you feel you need to do. You know, for example, you really feel a website is the next step for you, and you just need to find a more easy way to do it, not especially from complex tutorial that you found online and that really does not feel comfortable. But maybe when you found a very simple way, you just need to change your environment and maybe go at a friend's place where it feels better, or take yourself out for a night in the Airbnb in nature where there is internet, and you put yourself sitting in an environment where you have no distraction, and in 2 days this stuff could be done. That's an example, but I feel it's probably possible for eventually everything.